Hello and welcome to Break Conversations. My name's Sheila V. I hope you are doing amazing. I've had the best weekend. I won Coach of the Year for the second time this year, and I'm blown away by that recognition. I just want to say that, and it got me thinking about the topic for today's podcast, which is the 5 myths about healing. So, someone asked me over the weekend, Sheila, what makes you the coach that you are? And it really is about the way I approach healing and the way I approach healing for myself. And so today I wanted to talk about the myths of healing because I have been doing healing work since I was 29 and I turned 49 this year. That is 20 years. And I was doing it well before podcasts or apps or even Instagram existed. I started healing when Facebook just started. I'm showing my age now, I know. And there are myths that I bought into that came up as a real surprise for me. And the healing path has been the most profound path of my life. I'm so grateful that I awoke so early at the age of 29 and really wanted to make something of my life. And I remember I had this very lucid moment when I turned 29, when I Saturn return happens. And I had this moment of thinking, my life isn't going to change unless I heal the relationship with my father. Didn't know about the mother wound then. All I knew was I had a really unhealthy relationship with my dad. And I knew in every cell of my body, unless I work on this, I'm not going to attract a partner, a husband, you might say. I'm not going to attract better friendships. I'm not going to be a happy person. I just knew this. I didn't know why I knew it, but I knew this. So I started out on this healing path. And I want to today talk to you, for anyone out there that is really invested in healing, to share with you the myths that I experienced. And I'm going to debunk them for you and help guide you forward on what will serve you best on the healing path. And maybe the reframes that you need to have when you are engaging in healing, when you're approaching the healing path, when you stumble, you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you're being triggered. Okay, myth number 1 is I will be healed and I won't need to do any more work once I work with this coach or mentor. Once I've done my 10 sessions with this psychologist, I'm done, I'm healed, I'm ready to go out there and have the best life ever. Now, that is an absolute myth. The healing path, the truth, and it's an uncomfortable truth, once you awaken to the fact that you need healing, we all do, quite frankly, on earth. Most of us are asleep. We are not awake. But once you have your awakening and you realize I need to do healing, I am still attracting the same, toxic relationships. I'm seem to have the same conflict with boss after boss. We have an awakening and it gets us present that we are at the source of these challenges. And thus the healing journey opens up. And then we have this delusion that if I just do these 10 sessions, I'm going to be healed. If I just do this workshop or this retreat, I will be healed. You will be opened up. You will have new insights. You will have blind spots revealed to you. Will you be healed? No, we're all whole, healed, and complete on some level. However, it's another step of the journey. And I found this shocking because I became a workshop junkie in my 30s. And every workshop, I kept on thinking, this is the next workshop that's going to complete me. This is the next workshop that means I can meet my soulmate. Even ayahuasca and all the alternative holistic therapies. If I just do this one ayahuasca ceremony, I'm going to come out and everything's going to be shifted. No, that is exactly what does not happen. The reframe we need is that I love doing the work. I'm invested in a lifelong journey of doing the work. And I guess my invitation and my hope for you, I guess, is until you do the work, you will feel more peaceful within. Many years ago, I remember thinking, do I want to be happy? Well, I wanted to be happy. But as I've gone on 20 years into my healing journey, I now revel in being peaceful. I have an inner peace and an inner calm some days that I think, wow, I never knew I could get to this point of peace. Peace with my mum, peace with my dad, peace with my sisters, peace with my family, peace with all my exes, peace with ex-bosses, peace, a real sense of calm and peace within myself, and a real deep level of self-esteem and self-knowing. That is the gift of healing. Yet it is not an overnight job. I'm going to be honest, it's not even 1 or 2 years. It is many, many years. However, with each 3-month or 2-month block you do, you will see your life start to pivot and change and move. It's fundamentally when we heal, we're changing the way we think. When we change the way we think, we change the way we feel, because thoughts trigger a feeling. When we change the way we feel, we change our energy field. Inevitably, we start attracting and magnetizing brand new opportunities, things that didn't exist before we started the healing process. So the reward of healing in stages is our life does start to change. But are we going to be at the end of the journey immediately? No, it is definitely progress. And so you might be in the season of working on ex-partners. And if you're a woman, you're going to be probably working on your father wound, in the mother wound. But we might work on anger. Why does anger keep on coming up? And you might work on, again, ancestral stuff, but I'm going to speak about this in a second. You might go back, when did my anger wound start? You're going to start looking at self-confidence and you go, why do I keep on staying in friendships that don't serve me? We're going to keep on work, and then you work on boundaries. So why is it bite-sized? Because energetically, we can't handle more than bite-sized. If we did, we would overload our nervous system, we would overload our mind, our brain, and nervous system wouldn't be able to cope, and we would actually go back into dorsal or fight or flight or freeze. That's what I see with some clients. They go back into dorsal. Dorsal is your freeze. It's your numbing out. I'm not coping, overwhelmed. And that's why healing has to be stage by stage. And that's why the reframe is, I love doing the work. I'm constantly curious about the work. Another reframe is, universe, bring me the right next teacher. Bring me the right next healer. Bring me the right next soul tribe. Show me the right next step to elevate me on my healing journey. So if you start investing and looking at your healing journey as just that, a journey, and not a one-off package of sessions, you will actually fundamentally change every aspect of your life. I've done this. People have seen me and watched my journey on Instagram and Facebook, and they've commented, you have changed your life. And I said, yes, because I did not give up on healing. It did not check out. Actually, let me be honest, I had moments of giving up on healing, but I always came back. Right? The next myth is we work on the symptoms. So if you're experiencing bullying at work, or you can't speak up to your boss, and I've had women that come to me for corporate coaching, and we'll go through all the symptoms that are in their life. I don't have the best relationship with my husband. I'm constantly exhausted. I've got imposter syndrome. I don't have confidence to speak up in meetings. When I hear all this is all symptoms. I'm absolutely going to coach and help them through this, but it is a symptom to a bigger issue, and it's a symptom to a mother and a father wound. And all leaders in corporations, in companies, need to start waking up to this fact that the imposter syndrome, the perfectionism, the inability to be confident, the feeling like you can't speak up, the aggression we experience from people, all of this relates back to a source wound. And it's either our mother wound or our father wound. So most of the really juicy, transformative work I do with women and men is around the mother wound, father wound, ancestral healing. So I've studied amazing modalities. I've studied family constellation work. I've studied intergenerational trauma. I've studied trauma. I've studied it. I've made it a lifelong passion since I was very young, because I've had all sorts of trauma in the most interesting way run through both my father and mother's line of the family, from complex marriage triangles to loss of voice, invisibility, to anger, and passed through. My dad's line of the family had a lot of anger passed through from my great-great-grandfather all the way down to my dad, and then to me, a lot of, there was kind of physical anger. And so I've had this interesting life that's taught me it didn't matter how much I meditated. And I did Krishna for 2 years and I did Buddhism for 2 years, right? I've got some great stories from that time in my life. So in my 30s, I did meditation. I went hard thinking, if I can meditate my way out of this. Then I went hard into spirituality, tarot, oracle decks, did all the spiritual modalities you can think about, Reiki, all of the different modalities, met a lot of beautiful, interesting people on the way. Then I went really hard into plant medicine. I've done 50 plus ayahuasca ceremonies. I've smoked bufo 3 times. I've done, mushroom psilocybin journeys. I've done breath work, holotropic breathing. I've just done so many things. It all came back to my trauma. It all came back to my trauma. And when I was doing these things, I was bypassing my trauma. So now when I hold a modality, I will sit with that modality and reflect on what trauma from my childhood or ancestral line, and maybe even a past life, but I don't even worry about past life, to be honest. I really focus on the ancestral line because there's something called the energy system of the family, and it will play out. And it will play out in the most unconscious way. And unless we sit with practitioners that help us, we'll play out the same dysfunction with boyfriend after boyfriend, husband after husband, boss after boss, colleague or employee after employee. It doesn't end unless we actually go to the source wound. And so instead of saying, I've got to work on imposter syndrome, which is fantastic, I get that. The reframe is I'm a cycle breaker. And I am going to unpack where it serves me in the highest good of all, the intergenerational trauma, limiting beliefs that are no longer mine, that do not serve me, behaviors that are no longer mine. I'm going to hand that back to the family. And so investing in family constellation work, working with a therapist that understands trauma. We don't even think we got trauma. You might have had just a week of bullying in high school, and yet it might have left it an imprint. It's got samsara, a scar on your soul, a scar on the mind. You might have left a scar that plays out and plays out. And we might get frustrated on the healing journey that we have to keep on going back to. My dad did this, my mom did this, my best friend, cheated on with my ex-boyfriend, or my mom, chose my sisters over me, or my dad did this, or I had a boss that bullied me. We keep on going back to that. Yet when we feel frustrated, go, why am I not clearing this? Because there's layers to it. There's layers. And the invitation for us is to be in the work and to be in this breaking of the cycle. And once you break the cycle, oh my gosh, there is so much liberation. So I'm a Southeast Asian woman, right? Sri Lankan. We must get married early. And I mean early, like in your 20s. Okay. I got married at 45, need to have kids early. Must be about serving family. We're very tribe mentality. It's about the collective. There's shame if you break away from the collective. And this may not even be a Southeast Asian thing. You just might belong to a family where this is kind of the rules and norms. Well, I got married late. I had kids late. I quit my corporate career where I was earning really good money, and forget the money. I just had this status that I think my community around me wanted me to have. And I was like, no, I want to go and do this new thing, and I've got no idea how to do it. And I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to be resilient on the path. And I started my coaching journey, my healing journey. The gift of breaking the cycle is we feel authentic. And authentic can be a really misunderstood word. We end up feeling like ourselves. And the gift of feeling like ourselves is the gift of peace. It is inner peace. There is no price on inner peace. You could not give me $100 million and take my inner peace. It is something I do not put even a value on. So when you are a cycle breaker, you come home to yourself and you start making decisions completely from a very authentic, knowing place. And you stop being at the cause and effect of family dynamics, the beliefs of the family, the energy around the family that holds us down, right? So the second myth is we focus on symptoms and we don't focus on the core wound. And it's fundamentally the thing that's holding us back. The next myth is, once we get a bit delusioned on our spiritual healing path, we say, I'm going to be always doing this work. It's never going to be over. I'm always going to be attracting these kinds of guys. I'm always going to have this dynamic with my family. Now, the reframe is I'm upgrading now. Every time you're doing a new layer of healing work, it's an upgrade. It's just an upgrade into the new version of yourself. I had a beautiful coach of mine say many years, Sheila, when you level up, the devil comes up. And I've truly found that. When I published my first book, I definitely had a level of confidence issues, imposter syndrome, perfectionism come up. When I published my second book, even just recently, there was can I really own this message? Can I go onto a big global stage? as I speak on bigger and bigger stages, there's more of my own healing that I invest in, because the more visibility we have as women, the more of our trauma we're going to trigger, because most women suffer from an invisibility wound. And what does this mean? So the invisibility wound is basically our mums, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers were not visible. They were not allowed to have a job, have family, do amazing things in the world. They were really, subjugated. They were subservient. They were very of service to everyone else but themselves. They abandoned themselves for the collective. And so anytime right now as women that we are breaking that pattern, that is going to trigger in energy system up the family, it's going to trigger the wound. And that means we're going to feel fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right? We're going to have those reactions in our nervous system. That's why I work with a healer monthly, and I will never stop doing that because I know I'm playing the big game in life. So in your, I call it the board of directors, we'll have our own board of directors. And do you have a healer that you work with consistently? You invest in that relationship, not just one-off session. You invest and you're like, okay, we're going to do this journey and this is where I want to go. And that healer takes notes. They come back, they're checking in, what's changed in your life, what new thoughts are you having, how are you feeling about yourself? Because it is like turning around a cruise ship. It's a very slow journey, but the reward is you're in a whole new direction, once you turn that boat around. So instead of, will I always be doing this work, the reframe is I'm upgrading. And when we upgrade, there are big rewards that we receive from the upgrade. The next myth is healing is about making my life easier. It's about making me happier. And happiness is an illusion and it's temporary. And so sadness, okay, it's an illusion and that's temporary as well. And I learned this when I studied Buddhism many years ago, and just from all the personal development work I do. I don't actually aspire for happiness anymore. I aspire now for meaning and peace, a peaceful life that's rich with meaning. I have that with my husband and my son and all the purpose work I do, 100%, and the healing work that I invest in monthly. So healing is not about making our life easy. The reframe, healing is really about resilience. And as we heal, we become more resilient to the challenges of life. And this is the gift of resilience, the more resilient we become over here, the more ability we can hold abundance and wonderful things. That's actually it's a law of balance. It's called a law of duality as well. They always coexist. And so the more resilient we become to difficulties, to struggles, to exhaustion, to mentally stretching ourselves, learning new things, of course, on the other side, the more benefits we gain. So healing isn't about happiness. Healing is about, firstly, increasing our level of resilience, ability to be with struggle and stay with things, endure. And lastly, we change our energy field when we heal. So fundamentally, we are an energy field. Our auric field extends 2 to 3 meters away from our body. That field communicates with a quantum field. This is quantum physics 101. So the field is, we're communicating from our energy field to the quantum field, and we are all like little satellite dishes. When we heal, instead of saying, I'm angry at my dad, I'm angry at my ex, we start going, I'm more accepting, I'm peaceful. Well, think about that as 2 different broadcasts. Are you going to broadcast you're angry, or are you going to broadcast out you're peaceful and you're more accepting? Well, if you broadcast out that you're peaceful and accepting, you're going to get peaceful and accepting back. If you broadcast out anger, you will get back anger back. Or the law of reflection, the law of vibration, the law of attraction. And so fundamentally, healing changes your energy field, and it changes the way you attract, the way you magnetize things towards you. Healing is about working with the law of vibration and changing how and what we attract into our life. When people come to me and say, I'm being bullied at work, I know immediately that in an unconscious or even conscious way, they believe they deserve to be bullied. We only attract what we think we deserve. So the minute you realize you deserve something else, you deserve love, unconditional love, you deserve kindness, you deserve to not be gossiped about, you deserve help, right? The minute we realize this, it's the minute we start attracting that, right? Imagine how that can change your life. Imagine how that can change your reality as a corporate leader, as a woman running a business, as a mother, right? If you're in a marriage and struggling, imagine if you decided you deserved a different dynamic, okay? But healing is the vehicle that gets you there. Well, in the last belief, and I experienced this, oh my God, for decades, was every time I was triggered, I made it mean I'm not healed and it's not working. So I've had clients come to me, and even I went to my coach and mentor many, many years ago, and I said, I'm still being triggered by my family, by this situation. And he said, you've got a delusion and illusion that this is going to end, the triggers are going to end. And I said, yeah, well, that's why I'm working with you, so it does end. And the reframe is that the trigger's revealing that there's more work to do, or there's another angle or approach. So with intergenerational trauma, sometimes we can focus on one side of the family, like the mother wound or the relationship with mother, and we forget that there's probably a father wound or a father dynamic that's hidden underneath, away from us. So the triggers is the universe's way of helping us upgrade, and they do it through the vehicle of a trigger. And so the trigger says, yes, there is still anger there to be processed. There's still jealousy there that we need to look at. There's still a limiting belief about confidence, not speaking up in a meeting, being scared of what people think, being judged for my accent or that my voice shakes, or I don't sound as smart as everyone in the room. The trigger is there's more work to do. Now, here's the kind thing about the universe. The universe will trigger us at a time they know we're ready to work. We might have rested. We might have had a patch of a pleasurable part of our life. And then, yes, you get triggered again. The universe is saying, pull up your socks, time to get working. We're going to support you. Time to find a coach, time to find a healer. Go back to that coach you've been working with. Time to start round 2 or round 3. So the trigger is an invitation to go back and do more work. The trigger is also delightfully a recognition you're up for an upgrade. So I've had years where I've been triggered so much, and I'm like, this has been exhausting. And I became aware it's because I'm wanting so much change in my life. The universe is like, we're going to constantly trigger you, so you finally choose a different type of partner. You finally take note of the red flags. You finally ask for what you're worth, right? So the triggers were so stacked up and up and up, because the universe is like, Sheila, you want your husband. You want a family. The way you're behaving is not going to get you there. We need to trigger the pants out of you to get you to sit with multiple coaches and do such deep work. You will inevitably bring him in. This is what I did during COVID many years ago. I've bunkered down. I'd been triggered so badly. I was fetal position in my bathroom floor crying. A lot of us were down position in the bathroom crying, I think, during COVID. And I reached out. I work with three at least different mentors, all with expertise in trauma. I sat behind Zoom 8 hours a week, minimum, at least 8 hours. That's all I count now consciously. It was probably more like 12 to 15 hours. And I just did so much work on myself. And then literally months later, Tyson appeared in my life. So if it's not showing up in your life, whatever you want, the abundance, the partner, the baby, the job promotion, the conflict-free life, the better relationship with your parents, it's a sign to do healing. Now, if you really take note of these myths and the way I've debunked them and the way I've given you a reframe, it will change your relationship with healing and doing the work. And it will just make you the kind of person that is going to invest in the healing process and not feel scared of it, not feel resentful of your childhood, or that the journey is so hard. It's really loving the work. Can you create a new relationship in your mind? It's like, I love the work. I love doing the work. And I think that's where, if you find a brilliant coach or a mentor or a healer around you that you just, I want to be around you. I want to be supported by you. I love your integrity and the ethics that you work. Form a relationship with them. It's not a one-off thing. This is a journey. I have worked with one of my earliest teachers since 2014. So that's 11 years now. When I met her, I thought, you are phenomenal. I want to stay with you. I love your integrity and how you work. And one of my second teachers, Louise, we've become such good friends. I've looked at my teachers and my healers as people that are in my life. They're my soul family. They're not just another psychologist or spiritual teacher or healer. They're part of my soul family, helping me with ascending my consciousness and my vibration. If you think like that, it's a completely different way of thinking, and it's the way that high performing leaders think, and it's the way high performing people that attract a lot of abundance and have a lot of, people that have their goals and visions that constantly appear to be ticking those kind of boxes, they possibly are working with a healer in that way, because the upgrades are so fast and so big that you need someone to support your energy system as you're having these upgrades. Well, I've loved talking about healing today. This will not be the only podcast I do on healing. I might dive into mother wound or father wound in the coming sessions because, like I said, I've just literally read so many books and studied this passively as an interest for so many years that I just love sharing my knowledge and everything that I've done that's allowed me to have the abundance, the love, the child, the visibility, the book deals, the speaking deals that I've been getting. It's all come because I know I'm worthy. And when I had a deep lack of worthiness wound, I couldn't attract anything. I mean, how can you attract things when you don't feel worthy of it? Like and even if you attract it, you don't hold on to it. Like I've attracted it and I've held on to it and then taken that, run with it and then grown, right? So that's the game of healing and the game of visibility. So I really hope that today you have loved what I've spoken about. I hope it's really helped you. It's made you think really differently about the healing process. I'm going to be launching my Brave Woman program super soon. I'm so excited. I'm in the middle of recording a ton of new content, new modules, recreating a new community. I'm going to need, and I'm going to be speaking more and more about the Brave Woman and what it means. And I'll tell you something, the Brave Woman invests in her healing journey. That's what the Brave Woman does. Well, this has been amazing. I hope you have an amazing day and tune in for my next podcast next week. I'm going to be speaking about soul tribes. That's right, soul tribes. How you find a soul tribe and how you really know you're aligned with a new soul tribe. Okay, see you then. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. I'm filled with gratitude for you. I honor you for choosing you, your personal growth, and your evolution. Thank you for letting me into your world. It has been a privilege. Now do me one favor, one big thing. Share this podcast with a soul sister or brother who needs to hear this. My mission on planet Earth is to help as many people as possible so we can be bold, be brave, and be courageously ourselves. I'll see you on the next episode.